It's hard to believe mass dog breeding factories like this still exist. Dogs kept in appalling conditions, producing puppies for profit.
Living in a concrete pen and being bred from for their entire lives is no life at all for one of these companion animals. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
Puppy farms tend to shy away from publicity, so it's difficult to know just how many there are.
The number of puppy farms have significantly increased over the last few years. There's been a puppy boom during the pandemic.
Kiala had her heart set on introducing a British Bulldog into the family last year.
I had previously had a British Bulldog and fell in love with the breed. They're very, very family friendly.
She sought recommendations from other Bulldog owners before settling on a breeder in a southern New South Wales town.
We went into a shed and the shed was more like a giant cage. I got to see the mum. She was in a box with the puppies. I was a little bit concerned. They were still stumbling a little bit. And I did ask the man about their walking and he said, oh no, they've just eaten a bit too much. They're still learning to use their legs.
1 week later, Kiala was taking one of the puppies home. But within 24 hours, she had a very sick pup on her hands.
So I rushed her to the emergency vet. She was severely dehydrated and she had to be on IV fluids. From that day forward, she was gurgling and she had quite a congested breathing noise. She couldn't even walk around the block.
Tests revealed Cookie had hypoplastic trachea, a congenital condition that causes a narrow windpipe.
They advised that our breeder should have been aware that Cookie's parents had this issue and that they should not be breeding her. I think we've spent over $10,000 on vet bills since the second day we've brought her home.
There's fierce community debate over the development of puppy farms on the New South Wales side of the Victorian border, like the town where Cookie was born.
In New South Wales, we've seen a dramatic increase since Victoria has introduced legislation that effectively outlaws puppy farms. So what we've heard is that puppy farmers are simply moving across into New South Wales, where our relaxed laws do virtually nothing to protect these companion animals.
Victoria is the first state in Australia to limit the number of female dogs at breeding centres to 10, and they can only be bred 5 times. In New South Wales, there are no such limits. Murray River Council has been hit with a growing number of applications for mass breeding facilities, including one for 300 plus dogs, which it approved.
It's very difficult for councils because they're hamstrung by the fact it's perfectly legal to set up a puppy farm in New South Wales.
Mariah lives in Perth and bought her family pet from a Victorian woman selling British Bulldogs on Gumtree. That was in 2018, before the strict laws kicked in.
In total, we paid $6,000 for Harley to come from Victoria to us.
It turns out the breeder was the same as Kiala's before she'd shifted her operations across state lines. Harley was to be a sidekick for their first fur baby, Jimmy, but problems emerged from day one.
We noticed as soon as she got off the plane that she had started limping and just booked her into our local vet. They thought it was a joint issue and they started with injections to ease the muscle.
But just 3 months later, Harley suddenly took a turn.
Harley was screaming right next to me. I'm going to get emotional. It was the most blood-curdling scream I have ever heard, and I had to cradle her like a baby until we got into the vet clinic and they told us it was hip dysplasia and she had to be put down.
Mariah thought she'd done her homework, checking with the Master Dog Breeders and Associates.
We checked into the number that was provided to make sure she was a reputable breeder, and nothing popped up negative about her.
When the project contacted the MDBA, we were told the breeders' membership was terminated in early 2021 due to non-compliance with its rules. But that's little help to Mariah and Kiala, or any other unsuspecting buyers.
We had contacted the breeder in the months that we had Harley with us. She just stopped replying to us.
She refused to answer my calls, my husband's calls. It's really obvious that she is breeding for the sake of money and not for the sake of healthy puppies.
The New South Wales Animal Justice Party is pushing for puppy farming to be outlawed in every state and territory.
It shouldn't really be up to consumers to do all this research to actually find out if somebody's a puppy farm. What we need is preventative measures. We need to stop animals from ending up in these revolting conditions in the very first place.
I feel sick to my stomach that I've supported somebody unknowingly to continue to do this to other families.
We approached the Mayor of Murray River Council and the Pet Industry Association of Australia. Both declined to be interviewed. For the New South Wales Government's full statement, you can head to our website.
I tell you what's just heartbreaking and disgusting about this. In New South Wales, there are no caps on the number of dogs kept on puppy farms and no requirements for minimum staffing and no caps on the number of litters that any one dog can be forced to endure. And that's the thing. These dogs are forced into these situations, and, you know, the heartbreak that you hear there from dog owners says it all, really, doesn't it?
What's interesting, the statement from the New South Wales Government that I pointed to, it's on our website. What's interesting is the Minister seems to be saying we've got animal cruelty laws to deal with this. Now, if that's true, that they actually would cover this, then it's a problem of policing, not a problem of legislation, which means they should be able to sort this out. So we should be able to see action on that really, really quickly. And then if we don't, then we'll know that something's amiss. I think it comes down to that, doesn't it?
Probably does.